A decorated Marine shows up at his son's graduation, proud, silent, wearing his uniform. But then, 2 guards ask him to leave. What happened next? 6 silent men stood up and changed everything. This isn't just a story. It's a lesson in respect, loyalty, and brotherhood. It began with a moment that stunned everyone in the gymnasium. The crowd was buzzing with anticipation. Families filled the bleachers, cell phones ready, smiles wide. Students in caps and gowns whispered nervously as their names inched closer to being called. But in the 3rd row, near the aisle, sat a man who didn't smile. He didn't fidget. He didn't reach for a phone. He simply sat, proud and silent. Dressed in full Marine dress blues, the older black man looked every bit the image of service and honor. His uniform was crisp, his medals gleamed under the fluorescent lights. They weren't just decorations, they were stories. Stories of wars fought, brothers lost, sleepless nights, and unshakable duty. His back was straight, his chin high, and his eyes locked onto the stage. Today wasn't about him, it was about his son, the young man he had raised with discipline, sacrifice, and love. A son who had studied hard, stayed out of trouble, and was now walking across the stage to grab a diploma. The Marine had shown up to witness that moment. Nothing more. But then, it happened. 2 security guards began making their way through the row. Students turned. Parents shifted. Whispers rose. "Sir," one guard said, placing a firm hand on the Marine's shoulder. "We've been asked to escort you out." The gym fell silent. The Marine turned slowly, calm but confused. "Excuse me?" "We received a report," the second guard said, avoiding eye contact. "Someone claimed you're causing a disruption." Disruption? He hadn't even spoken. He hadn't moved. He was just a father, a proud, quiet father, watching his son's big day. But apparently, someone had decided that wasn't okay. Someone had decided he didn't belong. The moment the guards laid hands on him, a low murmur spread like wildfire through the crowd. It started as scattered whispers, but quickly grew louder as heads turned and phones were lowered. Is that really happening? Why are they asking him to leave? Wait, isn't that Sergeant Miles? Parents looked at each other in disbelief. Students paused mid-conversation. Teachers at the edge of the stage exchanged glances, unsure of what was unfolding. Many people recognized the man in uniform. He wasn't just another face in the crowd. He was a figure of respect in the community. Retired Gunnery Sergeant Harold Miles, a man who had served 22 years in the Marines, surviving multiple deployments, leading dozens of men into combat. But even beyond his military service, he had continued to give, volunteering at local schools, mentoring troubled youth, speaking at assemblies about discipline, hard work, and patriotism. And now, he was being asked to leave his son's graduation. For a moment, no one said a word. The Marine didn't rise. He didn't shout or plead. He remained seated, solid and unshaken. His face showed no anger, only quiet disbelief. "I'm here to see my son graduate," he said, his voice calm, but strong enough to carry through several rows. "I've earned that right." The guards froze. One tapped his radio, speaking low and fast into it, clearly unsure of how to proceed. The other avoided eye contact, nervously scanning the room as eyes locked onto him. The room grew tense, not with violence, but with discomfort. Everyone could feel it. Something was wrong. Then just when the pressure felt unbearable, the gym doors opened, and everything was about to change. Just as the gym teetered on the edge of tension and confusion, the double doors at the back creaked open. 6 men stepped inside, quietly, but with an energy that shifted the air like a sudden change in weather. They weren't in uniform, no military badges, no insignias. Just casual clothing, jackets, fitted jeans, hoodies, and boots that thudded softly against the gym floor. Yet something about the way they moved made people stop talking. Heads turned instinctively. Even those who hadn't seen them come in suddenly felt their presence. They moved with precision, a silent, synchronized rhythm that didn't require words or gestures. They were scanning the room, assessing, reading the situation like trained operatives. Their eyes locked onto the scene unfolding near the 3rd row, the Marine still seated, the 2 guards hovering nearby, visibly unsettled. The 6 men didn't hesitate. They walked directly toward him. No one in the gym knew who they were, but everyone could sense one thing. These men were not ordinary. When they reached him, one stepped forward, square-shouldered and calm. He didn't raise his voice, but his words carried weight. the kind that cut through noise without needing volume. "You're talking to a Marine who served this country with honor," he said to the guards. "He's not going anywhere." The entire room seemed to freeze. One guard cleared his throat and asked, "And who exactly are you?" The man stared straight through him and replied, "Let's just say we served together, and we don't leave our own behind." That's when the whispers began. "Wait, are those Navy SEALs? I swear I saw him on that documentary." "No way. That's the guy from that rescue mission overseas." The crowd fell into a stunned silence, and just like that, the entire gym held its breath. The 6 men formed a silent wall behind the Marine. No threats, no raised voices, just quiet, unwavering presence. It wasn't about making a scene. It was about making a statement. They didn't come to start trouble. They came to stand with their brother. Their posture was calm, but commanding. The kind of presence you don't argue with, not because you're afraid, but because deep down you understand. This moment is bigger than rules, bigger than misunderstandings, and definitely bigger than anyone's discomfort. One of the SEALs, a tall, broad-shouldered man with close-cropped hair and piercing eyes, stepped forward. He placed a steady hand on the Marine's shoulder. It wasn't a gesture of support. It was a symbol. He looked toward the security guards, then turned his gaze to the crowd and spoke loud enough for the surrounding rows to hear. "He bled for this country," he said. "And today, he's just a father, watching his son graduate. That's it. That's all." Silence. Then, from the back corner of the gym, a slow clap. A single student. Then another. Then a teacher stood. In a matter of seconds, the entire gymnasium rose to its feet. Applause erupted, shaking the walls. It wasn't just polite clapping. It was thunderous, full of heart and gratitude. Some parents wiped away tears. A few of the students saluted. Teachers nodded solemnly. Even the guards stepped back, humbled. One of them, clearly emotional, looked down and softly mouthed, "I'm sorry." The Marine didn't puff out his chest or demand recognition. He simply nodded, quietly acknowledging the respect, and turned his gaze back to the stage. Just in time to hear his son's name echo across the gym, and for a brief moment, the world stood still. As the final names were called, and the applause began to settle, one name echoed louder than most. The Marine's son stepped onto the stage, head high, eyes searching the crowd. And then he saw him, his father, standing tall, straight-backed, still in his full Marine dress blues, now flanked by 6 silent figures. The son paused for a beat, overwhelmed. Then, with deep respect, he gave a sharp, subtle nod, not the casual kind kids give from a distance, but the kind that holds weight, the kind that says, "I see you, I know what you've done, and I'm proud to be your son." That moment didn't need words. It didn't need applause. It spoke louder than any speech. The crowd watched in reverent silence. After the ceremony ended and the gym slowly emptied, the Marine approached the 6 men waiting by the exit. His steps were slow, his heart full. "You didn't have to do that," he said quietly, his voice cracking just slightly. One of the SEALs, the one who had spoken earlier, gave him a small smile. "Yeah," he said. "We did, because you'd have done the same for any of us." No more words were needed. They shook hands like brothers, strong, firm, and full of shared history. Then, just like they arrived, the 6 men faded into the crowd. No photos, no spotlight, just quiet purpose. But the impact remained. That graduation became more than a celebration of diplomas. It became a symbol of loyalty, of dignity, and of unspoken bonds that never break. In a world that often forgets to say thank you, 6 silent warriors reminded everyone what real respect looks like. And for everyone in that gym, it became a story they'd tell for the rest of their lives. And that was a graduation no one in that gym will ever forget. Not because of what was said, but because of what was stood for. A father's quiet pride, a son's silent respect, and 6 brothers who reminded the world what loyalty and honor still looked like. In the end, it wasn't about uniforms or medals. It was about dignity. It was about showing up for the people who matter, and it was about never letting respect go unspoken. If this story moved you, even just a little, do us a favor. Like the video, share it with someone who believes in respect, and subscribe for more powerful stories like this one. Thank you for watching. And remember, sometimes the strongest voices are the ones that don't need to shout. See you in the next story.